Welcome to the Wholesaling Inc Podcast, America's #1 podcast for new real estate investors, where we know without a doubt that the most proven path to financial freedom is finding discounted properties. I am your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, and I am telling you, if I can do it, so can you. So let's get started. This podcast is going to be absolutely bananas because for the third time, this is the first time I've ever brought somebody on for the third time.
Oh, really?
And I want to introduce everybody again for the third time to Luke Rotvold, and this time with his business partner, Jake Landis, better known as the Viking Boys here in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome, guys, to the podcast.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brent.
And the reason, guys, listen, the reason I want to hook you into this podcast early because this one is going to be absolutely on fire because Luke here is the guy that I tell everybody is America's #1 most productive cold caller ever. He has made personally, from the calls that he has made, he's made over $3 million in this real estate journey that you guys have been on.
Absolutely.
And from there, it's not only just wholesaling now. Now you guys are getting into development. Now you guys are getting into Airbnbs. Now you guys are getting into rentals. And you're getting into flips. And I mean, the business has exploded for you guys. But I really want to pull it all back to what are the core elements of your guys' business, which is being proactive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we started together. And I mean, cold calling was kind of the foundation of how we got started. Yeah. And we kind of took it and ran with it. Yep. And we kind of built out a team over the years now and started small, and I mean, we still have a pretty small, tight-knit team. Yep. But we've just gotten, more and more productive, I guess, with that team. Yep. So, the first year we started, I think we did somewhere in the ballpark of $90,000 in wholesales for the first year, and now it's been back-to-back years where we'll do over 100,000 a month. So.
Well, first of all, let's go back to 2014, right? This is when you started with me.
Yeah, 6 years.
This is when just in case nobody has ever heard the other interviews before. Yep. Your wife, girlfriend at the time, your wife now, was working with me.
For sure.
She was picking up the phones. She was making calls right next to me. We were calling. We would go out. We'd go into the neighborhoods. We'd write down the ugliest houses out there. We'd get the phone numbers. We'd call them. And she was like, listen, this is just, this isn't me. It doesn't fit with me. She had enough self-awareness for it. But luckily enough, somebody picked up the ball and ran with it.
And I said, Sage, who's that handsome guy with the great hair that you're working with?
That's it, yeah.
I think I want to work with him.
Yeah, that's it. No, but then you started, and then the interesting thing is, we've got $3 million in all these deals we can talk about, but it took you 5 months to get your first one.
Oh, absolutely.
It took you 5 months.
Oh, it was tough. We didn't have the systems in place that we have now.
Right.
I mean, it was never like that. So, when we first got started, I remember it was just smiling and dialing and trying to learn how to get that script down. And I remember, those first few months, you want to quit. You're like, man, this sucks. Like, what am I doing? I'm just spending all day on the phone. Everyone's telling me to screw off. Everyone's mean. Yeah. And then, you just kind of navigate your way through it. And then once you pop that first deal, there's no looking back.
There's no looking back. No. And you have the best strategy because not only are you making calls 3 hours a day still.
Yes.
Still.
Yes, except for Wednesdays, but yeah.
Except for Wednesdays. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, you're making calls and you're playing video games while you're making calls.
Absolutely. Madden, baby.
I'd say I know he's the best cold caller, but he is probably in the top 10% of Madden nationwide.
Madden live.
This guy can play.
Is it live?
Yeah, well, it's Madden online, yeah. So when you're playing, it's live, I guess. Yeah.
So you're playing live while you're making cold calls, getting deals of over $3 million.
Yeah. It's the best.
It's bananas.
What else
I'm telling you, this podcast is going to be absolutely crazy.
How else can you build a company where you can make that kind of money while you're sitting back playing video games?
Right.
Come on.
Well, and it really took off when you guys partnered up, right?
For sure,
because you were out there, you were gunslinging, you were kind of like a gun for hire. We would give you a list, you would make the calls, we would split the deals. It was great. And then Jay came into the picture, and you were like, you know what? I want to build something. I've got a big vision. You guys both had that vision. You guys have been best friends for forever, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
middle school,
played
high
on the
school.
same soccer team when we were like 6 years old.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So you guys partner up. You guys, you rip him from me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No. He's on a rocket ship, and you guys just joined together, and that's really when you were able to find the opportunities. You were really able to organize everything, build the team, and not only that, look at different opportunities for every single deal, right?
So Jake is great at all the stuff that I'm awful at.
Right.
So, and he's good at putting systems together. He's good at kind of doing all the back end stuff that again I don't even know where to get started. Mm-hmm. So that's where
our partnership works so good because Luke, cold calling and being on the sales side is not my strong suit and not what I really like to do.
Right.
And then roles reversed, the back end stuff, the marketing lists, all that stuff. Luke hates it, so it works out perfect.
Keep it away from
Not only that, but here's the thing. The beautiful thing about wholesaling is this is how you get started, right?
Absolutely.
Just like the introduction to this podcast. We know that finding discounted properties is the most proven path, but it's only the most proven path to financial freedom once you start making the income from wholesaling. And then what do you do with the income that you make from
Don't
wholesaling?
blow it on cars.
Yeah, right.
No, just
but
joking.
this is where you come in, Jake. I mean, this is really where you come in.
Yep.
You guys have been really, really, really disciplined and not going bananas with all of your expenses, keeping it really tight, keeping a tight group. Not only that, but you're like, listen, I think on this deal we can make double or triple if we do a flip, if we buy it and hold it, if we rent it out, if we develop this piece of land.
Yep.
I mean, that's really coming from you really choosing where it's at and letting him be free to just do what he does best, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's the perfect partnership, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people try to do, let's let you do all the calls, and I'm going to just be back here and sell all the deals and everything, and then it kind of after a couple years, it's like, wait a second, I'm getting all the deals, you're just selling the deals. It's too easy.
Yeah.
We need to do more. You're taking it. You're building up this whole strategy of where you guys want to go as the Viking Boys, as a company.
Yeah, exactly. And advice to people. I mean, if you're not good at one of those things, don't try to do it. I mean, don't do it. If you don't enjoy it, if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
It's really interesting. I read this really interesting book called Who Not How, and in there they talk about procrastination is actually wisdom. Right?
I've heard this before.
Listen, you and I are very similar in this. We're running, we're gunning, we're expressives, we're going to go. Yeah. We procrastinate all the organizational, all the operational, all the stuff.
Pretty accurate.
There's some wisdom to that because then you open it up to who can handle that. That's Jake.
No, for sure.
Right?
For sure. Absolutely.
And it's absolutely incredible. So let's talk about your team. Let's talk about what that looks like. Yeah. So for the first year, it's just you guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Just Jake and I.
And you guys are kind of building this thing together. You guys are finding opportunities. You guys are, kind of dipping your toes a little bit into flips. I mean, your first year was what, 80K?
No, we were wholesaling everything getting started. We didn't have enough money to, be like, hey, let's, we didn't have the money or the connections to go start flipping and stuff. So, I mean, it wasn't really till probably year 3 that we really kind of started kind of jumping in and doing some flips. And then, again, it's just kind of that cycle, the cycle that everyone says that you take is you're wholesaling into flipping into keeping properties. I mean, and that's the cycle that we've kind of gone.
Yep.
And so, when we started flipping, it was just a matter of us being able to get some cash built up and then kind of start running with it.
I love that you just broke it down that way because I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know that it's wholesaling and then you get into some opportunities with flips, then you get an opportunity for the buy and hold. I mean, that is the progression.
And then developing comes after that.
All right.
Yeah. So,
it does. I mean, that is the path. Yeah. When you talk to somebody, people don't want to be a wholesaler forever.
Right.
They want to be real estate investors.
Exactly,
because wholesaling is not real estate investing.
People don't want to cold call all day long.
Right.
It's deal finding.
Every day.
No, real estate wholesaling is deal finding. Mm-hmm. That's all I say. Let's keep it simple. What wholesaling is, throw away the word wholesaling and look at it. What it is we find deals.
Oh, yeah.
We source real estate opportunities. Yep. But as you guys build up your experience and your resume and all these different, deals that you guys put together, all of a sudden, now you guys know that you have other potential that you can do. Yeah. So let me ask Jake this.
Yeah.
When you guys have a deal, right, you get it locked up, what is the process that you go through to decide, are we wholesaling it, are we flipping it, or are we going to keep it?
Yep. So what we kind of do is, we have a system that we, run our numbers on. I think Luke actually did a video on this real recently to, the system we use.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is obviously we'll look at the comps. We'll see, what the condition of the property is now. And then we'll see, okay, what could this house sell for on the market in its current condition without really light updates.
Yeah.
And then, what can we push it at? Mm-hmm. And then also running those numbers, of course, when we run the numbers for a wholesale, we use the push number.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Always.
Especially with today's market. I mean,
you're getting it now.
Yeah.
So,
And then obviously what we've seen is, the wholesales are much, much smaller than if you actually are the investor and flip it. So like Luke was saying, now that we, have more cash and we have the connections, it's really a no-brainer. I mean, unless it's like just a juicy wholesale, we're most likely going to flip it.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Love it. So you guys are now to the point after 3-4 years of flip first, wholesale second.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we, like Jake said, we pretty much, if we're not going to make, usually I would say 30. If we're not going to make 30 on a wholesale, we usually flip it now.
$30,000.
Yeah.
So what, like an average teacher makes in a year?
Right.
Right? Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. In one deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of like the number.
And you guys
for
do
us.
like 100 deals.
That's kind of the number for us. So where it's like, okay, listen, if it's because a lot of times we've kind of gotten to the point where it's like, you make a quick 10, or it's like if you decide to flip it and you can make 40 upwards of 50, that's not it's not even a question.
Right.
So it's like where it kind of starts, where you kind of start seeing the balance is like, okay, if we could make 30 quickly versus maybe say 60, then it kind of becomes a little bit more like, do we want just a quick 30 or do you want to go through the whole process? But we've pretty much decided to kind of go away from every wholesale that's kind of underneath for the most part. Yeah.
Love it.
Well, and obviously cash comes into account. Like when if you're going to flip it or wholesale it. Same thing with, how loaded up are your contractors and, how fast they can build a jump on something. So those are all things that kind of factor into it. And then on the buy and hold side, it's really the only things that we're buying and holding are either multifamily.
Yeah.
We like, R2 lots and different lots like that. So if anyone has R2 lots, send them our way.
Absolutely.
We're looking to build. And then also...
R2, what can you build on an R2 lot? Because people are saying, what is R2? R2D2? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
What's R2?
You just want to find... it's a lot with R2D2 standing on the lot.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of those.
They're rare, but if you can find them, they're worth a lot.
Yeah.
So R2 is where you can build a duplex.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
residential 2
exactly
is kind of what the R2 stands for.
Exactly.
You can build a duplex on it. Some lots are zoned for it.
Yep.
Some aren't. Some are.
Yeah.
I mean, check each. Anybody, if you ever get properties that are zoned multifamily that have a single family house on it, I am telling you, those are hot. Because this is proof. This is proof that people are looking to buy those, tear down a property, and build a
We'll pay
unit.
much more than they're actually worth.
Right.
Because, exactly. You demo the property, and you threw up a new duplex, or right now we're about to start on a new triplex.
Love it.
And so it's going to be a lot of fun.
And just to mention, I just want to plug your guys' YouTube channel because I love it, and it's really showing what you guys are doing. It's the Viking Boys on YouTube, right?
Exactly.
The Viking Boys, definitely check these guys out. They put out a lot. You know how I'm usually here in the office and I'm going through things. These guys are out in the field, and they are like showing their flips, and they're going through all their things, and they're having a really great time. You can see the real dynamic. Definitely check out the Viking Boys on YouTube. So
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Definitely check that out. And we'll put a link in the YouTube video. If you guys are just listening to this podcast, definitely check it out. Check out the video of this interview of this podcast at Brent Daniels' YouTube channel, and you can put the beautiful faces to the voices here.
Man.
Yeah. So I mean, really interesting. So how do you now? This is the question that I think is running through people that are listening and watching this. Okay.
Right.
You start wholesaling.
Yeah.
How much money do you think you should save up from the deals that you do wholesaling to start getting into flips? And what are your relationships with? Because I assume you guys get private money.
Yeah.
And that covers some of your fix-up costs, maybe all of your fix-up costs. You're down. I mean, how much should people save up first? That's the first question. What do you think is a good number?
I would recommend, getting enough money to do one flip. I mean, just to start with one. I would say that number is, if you've got good connections, if you've already kind of spent the time to build those connections, you don't need as much. Because you'll be able to find.
Say they have no connections.
If you got no connections,
you're gonna need a chunk.
You're gonna
most likely probably like 70 to 80 grand.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because most of the time when you're just getting started, any hard money lender is gonna want you to put 20% down.
Yeah, right.
They're not gonna cover any rehab, and of course your interest rate's gonna be 12 to 15%.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So.
Then once you start getting that, that formula down, and then you can actually prove to your lender that, hey, I know what I'm doing, then they'll start lowering your interest rate. They'll start asking for less money down. So you might go from 20% down up front. Now you work your way down to 10% down.
Right.
And then, at first they're going to be like, no, we're not going to cover your rehab. That's on you, And then once you kind of start proving yourself again, then they'll say, hey, I'll cover 50% of rehab. I'll cover 80% of rehab. Now I'll cover 100% of your rehab. So just, the amount of properties that you can do obviously just jumps like crazy when you have to put less down.
The most important thing is start with one.
Yes.
Get it done, show it, do it again, repeat, and then keep going back, keep building that relationship with your money.
And I'm a big proponent too, though, of honestly, like Jake said, if you're going to take a flip down by yourself, you're probably going to need 70 to 80 grand. I mean, especially in Arizona. If you're in different markets like Louisville, maybe you're not going to need that much because you're buying houses for less.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm huge on your very first one. If you don't really know what you're doing, partner with someone.
Yeah.
Do 50% of a deal. Do 25% of a deal.
How do you find a partner?
Learn.
How do you find a partner?
If you have a deal, you put it on social media, and you say, "Hey, I'm looking for a partner." People are looking.
So you're saying literally just make a post of a video of you maybe at the house saying, "I'm buying this house. I want to do a flip. I need a partner that has experience.
Yes.
Please, if you know anybody, reach out."
You're gonna need to give out the numbers, obviously, and then
Easy as that.
people are gonna take a look at the numbers. And I mean,
if it's a deal,
people will jump on it and partner with you all day.
Yeah.
All day long.
It's just being loud.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I try to scream at guys. I scream and scream and scream. Be loud. Don't be secret.
Yeah.
Get on social media. Let people know that you're wholesaling real estate. You're looking for buyers. You're looking for deals. You're looking for opportunities. And then you can transition to I'm looking for somebody to partner with. And even if you have to split it, it's worth so much more, because the number one nightmare, the reason a lot of people don't do flips and just stay in this kind of circular loop of doing wholesale deals year after year after year is because they did one, they did two, they made mistakes, they hated the process, they lost money or broke even. It took 6 months instead of 30 to 60 days, and they're just tired of it.
Exactly.
So they just want to make quick wholesale deals.
For sure.
Right?
And again, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, if you don't like that process, if you don't like the flipping process, don't do it.
But I think right now we are in a market where you can make so much more flipping than you ever have.
Crazy.
In certain markets. I mean, this is nationwide, right? This podcast. So you got to check out your area and check out how many properties are on the market and how many are pending on the market, and find out how hot the market is. But if it's a seller's market, I mean, how long do your flips stay in the market?
So we just bought a townhome, and we were like, okay, we'll do a light rehab, which is called a wholesale.
Right.
So we did a super light rehab on it. And we're like, okay, numbers on this. Like if we can get 285 on this, we're gonna kill it. It's gonna be great if we get 285. Like let's go for that. We finished it up. We're like, it came out pretty nice. We hardly put anything into it. We're like, screw it. Let's go for 300. The market's super hot. 3 full price offers the first day at 300. We were going to be stoked if we sold it at 285.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's just what
it's crazy. That's what's going on right now.
I mean, it's not just on that one. It's on all of them. First week, 100%. They're going under contract.
If you're not just stupidly priced.
Right.
Of course.
So the instruction here for everybody, because this podcast is not just educating and inspiring. This is instruction. Like, go do this. Find a deal. Work the numbers. If it looks like a great flip that you can make, I would say double what you would on a wholesale. See, I like people getting early wins when they start off.
For sure.
I like the income coming in. I like them going from faith that they can do it to it being a fact. The first time you get that check, the first time you're like, oh, right?
It's still. When you get a deal, there's no better feeling.
Yeah. I still say the day that you lock up a deal, to me, is still 10 times better than even the day you sell it.
Oh, sure.
To me, because
I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
Not there. As my wife might hear. But the instruction here is once you get to the point where you can see that you can make significantly more flipping, get the deal locked up, get loud on social media, find somebody to partner with, and get that experience.
Yeah, and I mean, I think another thing, like you said, get loud on social media. We've only kind of recently started, being a lot more active, and I think at first you're very like worried. You're like, oh, are people gonna think that I'm being an asshole because I'm like, oh, look, I just got this deal, and then you get to the point where it's like you don't care. Like, again, you're not trying to be an asshole, but it's like, listen, like I'm showing you what we're doing, and this is helping our business. Because when you run your own business, you don't have people paying for marketing for you.
Yeah.
And people have to understand that if you work for a company, they might, your company is paying for marketing. They're bringing you clients, whatever it is. Yeah. When you own your own business, as you know as well, you have to bring all that in.
Well, listen,
you're responsible for all that.
Listen, the fact is there's a big difference on social media if you're bragging versus if you're networking. Right? If you're networking, if you're genuinely looking to make connections there, that's all in the way that you say it. That's in your tone. That's the way you present yourself, as opposed 100%. To look at all this money I have, throwing cash around and being an asshole, like you're saying.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think that there's a tasteful way to do it. So everybody gets excited on this show to break down a deal.
Yeah.
I want to break down a deal for cold calling.
Okay.
Right? I want a cold calling deal.
Perfect.
Something that you called. And
now we're talking.
And it took some time. Maybe you had to do some follow up, whatever it is. And it was a big opportunity. You guys made a big deal.
So one of my favorite ones was a few months back now, and it was a lead that I've been following up with for a long time. Probably about 9 months or so.
Okay.
And the lady just kept saying, not quite ready.
Wait. So what was it? A specific list you called on?
I think it was. So we
that's this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like a high equity, or no data, absentee owner.
Okay.
List.
Where'd you pull it from?
ListSource.
ListSource.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we still use ListSource.
Yeah.
I mean, it's inexpensive and
So you've got ListSource. You pull no equity or unknown equity and high equity.
Exactly.
Absentee.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, yeah.
So, and by the way, if you're just listening to this, absentee means that the owner doesn't live in the property, right? It's probably a rental for them, or they inherited, or it's a second home or something.
Right. So this was a house up north again, and then the owners lived in Sun City, lived in Phoenix.
I think so.
Yeah. Their main house was in Sun City. So anyway, called her, followed up for about 9 months. She just said
9 months.
9 months. Yeah.
How do you follow up for 9 months? How
He's
long?
the
Because
king
I get
of
that.
follow-up.
I know.
I don't miss my follow-up calls.
I know you don't. But what is your strategy there? Because one of the biggest questions I get is, what do I do for lead follow-up?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, a lot of people, use systems, Podio, stuff like that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm old. Come on. I haven't changed.
Me too.
I haven't changed.
Me too.
I've got my piece of paper, baby.
Right.
And so no, I just I pull them out, and then I call them. I usually call if it's every if I'm going to give them a call every 2 months, I'll call them every month.
Right.
I'll just check in.
You just cut it in half.
Exactly. Cut it in half. Call them. Say, hey, checking in on you. Wanted to see if anything's changed. Hey Sally. Has anything changed for you? Are you looking to sell the property yet? I'm here for you. I love you. That kind of stuff.
Sure.
And no, I mean, she just like I said, she just wasn't quite ready. And then just a random Sunday, I woke up to a phone call, and I'm like, okay, it's a random number. I didn't have her number saved, and she's like, hey, it's so and so. I'm ready. And I'm like, like those are the best feelings. Too.
Well, and even like month before, 2 months before, she said she kind of told you to not stop calling, but
I called her like
I'm
2 weeks.
I'm not interested in selling.
It was like 2 weeks before, and she's like, I'm just not there. I'm not.
Now,
there.
how did she save your number? How did you get her to do that?
I tell them to.
What do you tell them?
I say, yeah, you still have my phone number, and then they'll be like, I do, and I'm like, okay, could you read it for me real quick? Like, yeah, it's then whatever, they'll read it off. Yeah, perfect. Sounds good.
Do you tell them to save it in their phone?
And I say, well, as you know, if you need anything, let me know. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
That's what I always tell them.
Yeah. I always told them,
whenever
listen,
you're ready, I'm here.
Save my number in your phone as Brent Homebuyer. Brent Homebuyer. Just save it in there.
Yeah, exactly.
That way, when I call, it's me. If you don't want to talk to me, you can just click end.
Exactly.
It's not some unknown. But if you need to reach me for any reason, you can text me. Yep. It's easy. You can call me. Make it all convenient for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, so she called on Sunday, and she was like, "Hey, let's do this. Something happened. I'm ready to make this happen. I'm ready to roll." Mm-hmm. And so it was actually, it was when COVID was happening.
Yeah.
And so I just let her know. I was like, hey, you know, I know the number we were talking about was right in the ballpark of like 115.
Yep.
Which at 115 it was like a no-brainer deal. We're like, we get this at 115, we're gonna kill it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know, I just gotta be honest with you. Like, you know, things have changed because there's a lot more uncertainty in the market right now.
This is after COVID.
This was during COVID. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So I was like, you know, you just have to understand that, like, I still absolutely want to buy the property, but I'm going to have to be lower. So she's like, oh, like, okay, how much lower? And I was like, you know, we're probably going to need to be in that ballpark of like 100 to 105. She's like, okay, well, if you can do 105, I can make it work. So I'm like, sounds great. So, I mean, like, I think that, you know, people always have to understand, you have to throw out lower numbers. Because if you don't do that, if you don't at least throw the offer on the table, they're never going to take it. You know, there's no point in staying at your number. You might as well, every single time you call someone, go for a lower number, lower number, lower number.
I love it.
Because it's like, why not?
Yeah.
The worst they're going to say is no.
Right.
And then you say, okay, well, I'll buy it at 115.
Yeah.
And it's a great deal.
Yeah.
But might as well try to get an extra 10 out of it.
Sure.
So she's like, okay, you know, yeah, if you can do the 105, we'll go ahead and move forward. So locked it up at 105. And so we walked around the neighborhood because it's a really hot area.
Yeah.
And so we had went to a couple of the neighbors and we'd said, hey, you know, we just picked up this property. I know you know which property I'm talking about. And they're all like, yeah, I do. And then one of the neighbors we went back and forth with on prices.
Yeah.
We started high. And then he ended up closing on it at 165.
165. So you made 60,000 from the neighbor. So here's the beautiful thing, real quick, before we ring this victory bell.
Yeah.
So you guys went out to the neighbors to sell this deal.
Yeah.
Why'd you decide to do that?
It was actually interesting. We were out there like walking the property, and he peeked his like head over and was like, started asking questions. We're like, I bet you he's interested.
Yeah.
And then Luke was like, we should go door knock all of the neighbors right around here and see if anyone's interested.
Because it's in a neighborhood where all the houses in the area are super nice. And it's like a really like kind of cool area.
Yeah.
And like there's like the dump house.
Yeah.
Like that was this house. Like this house was the one where it was like, oh man, this thing is like it's a turd, right? Like just awful. And so, I mean, we'd go to the neighbors and be like, yeah, we bought that property, we've got it. And the guy that ended up buying it, his wife was so mad.
Oh yeah.
She was like, I door knocked that house like 5 times. I sent mailers. I got the lady's number. I called her.
Yes.
I don't know why. What did you guys do? What did you guys do? Why did you get it?
I
didn't. I didn't get it.
We called them.
She was mad. She was big mad.
Yeah.
Well, listen, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Call them.
Yeah.
I know. And so that's what I told her. And I was like, she's like, I called her too. I don't understand why you got it. So anyway.
Bring that 60,000.
That was a good one.
So yeah, it was a good wholesale. I mean, and again, we honestly went back and forth on it because we thought about keeping it as a long-term property.
Yep.
But I mean, it was just one of those ones where you're gonna have to knock it down.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to put some serious money into it.
It was too much.
Yeah.
Too much rehab costs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like even if we did it as a flip, we would probably do like a value add, do an addition. And it would have, the numbers were insane. We probably could have made over, 120 grand.
Yeah.
But the amount of time going through the city, permits.
It would have been a year process.
It would have, yeah.
Yep.
So we were like, let's take the quick money on this one. And
quick 60s don't hurt.
Yeah, 60s. So that's right on that borderline of, do you keep it or, just joking.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So speak to anybody that's in the position right now. They've got things rolling. They're getting going. They're getting some deals done. What do you think is the first thing that they should do to help them get organized so that they can start hiring people, so that they can keep their finances in check? Like, what are some things that you have done to make sure that Luke doesn't, spend too much money?
Luke loves spending money.
Yeah,
I do.
So
on houses.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But we're always about running super, super lean.
Right.
Like that is one thing that I will. And, there's nothing against big teams. A lot of people obviously are killing it with big teams.
Right.
That's just not.
They don't make any money though.
Yeah, that's just
they
not.
They don't net any money. I talk about it all the time in here. Like, don't get tricked.
Yeah, it's big numbers, but guess what? There's a lot of payroll.
Tiny profits.
There's a lot of stuff that's going into that.
Mouths to feed.
So what we've always done is, we've reinvested everything. We don't pay ourselves much.
No.
We just reinvest, roll it back into the
We're
business,
bad at that.
whether it's marketing, systems or rental properties.
Yeah.
So if you're just starting to get deals, I would say that is the biggest thing. Don't go out, spend your money.
Yeah.
Literally reinvest it. But the biggest thing is, I would say, is hire someone that knows where you want to be, a mentor that can help you build out those systems and tell you what to do. Because, let's say if you hire someone for, $5 to $10 grand.
Yeah.
They are going to cut so much time out of that growth pattern for $5 to $10 grand. It'll be so worth it.
Love it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And speak to somebody now that's never done a deal, Luke. They're getting ready. We've convinced them. This podcast has finally convinced them. I can pick up the phone. I can call people. I can get deals. I listened to this guy in the Wholesaling Inc Podcast. He did over $3 million from picking up the phone, playing video games.
That's right.
What advice would you give somebody that's never done a deal? They're getting ready to pick up the phone, but they're scared of making the call. They just can't. They're just...
Yeah. It's just going to come down to repetition. It's like anything. It's scary at first because you're calling people that you don't know, but like something that you got to think about. This was a big thing for me too. Is we had done a multi-level marketing company.
Yeah, sure.
And multi-level marketing, you're calling all your family.
And you were like 19 or something, right?
Oh yeah, the first one we got into, we were like 17 or something like that. But you're calling family and friends, and that is. You want to talk about
way
tough?
Frightening.
That's tough.
That's way worse.
That's hard. That's way
Yes.
harder. So I remember like switching from that to like calling people I don't know. I was like, I'm never gonna see this person ever.
Yeah.
And if I do, it's because I'm getting a deal out of it.
Right.
So it's like the only way you're ever gonna meet these people is if you're getting a deal. And like so it's like you just have to remember that it's not like it seems scary, but it's not. You don't know these people. You're not gonna ever meet them. So you want to meet them obviously, but you just got to keep that in mind. Like just I know it's tough, but you just gotta stick to it.
Well, and I think that your tone of voice is is like your secret sauce, right? It's soft, it's comfortable, it's a little bit unsure, right? It's a little,
exactly.
But you're not going real aggressive. You're not going too fast. You kind of slow it down.
Yeah.
You're really smooth with it, and I think. Every time that I would get on the phone and use that and be able to, I don't go bombastic, I don't go crazy. I'm trying to listen to what that person sounds like and communicate with them. But I want to be like on their team. I want to be like where they already know me.
Yes.
I want to build that instant connection.
For sure.
And that all, I think, in my opinion, it happens with your tone of voice.
Yes, and again, for doing this for 6 years, you start picking up on things. You get better at things, and there's things that you just learn from yourself. Like I remember, just one small thing was when I first got started. When people would say, "Oh, what are you gonna do? You're gonna flip my property? You're gonna buy? What are you gonna do?" And I remember I had used to say like, "Oh yeah, we do flip." And then when you say the word flip, it turns people off.
Yes.
So you never
when you say the word investor.
Yeah. So you never say that oh, I'm gonna flip a property or that we might flip a property. Right. You never say that. You say we might we would potentially rehab it and we'd maybe resell it.
I say tasteful remodel.
Yeah. So if you say a tasteful remodel or if you say a rehab and resell, that sounds 10 times. When people associate flip with you're trying to take me. You're gonna kind of try to come take my house to take my equity.
Yeah.
When they see all the shows, they think we make stupid money. And it's those numbers aren't even real.
Right.
But
so so there's just so many things that you can just take that exactly like you said, tonality, speaking softer and quieter. And
and you're actively
with women
listening.
versus men. Even men, you talk with a more direct tone, and you kind of want to match them and stuff like that. So, again, you're only going to get that. You're only going to get these tips. You're only going to get these things with actually making the calls,
doing it,
with actually sitting there and calling for hours and hours and hours. And something that I don't know if I ever told you this, but when we used to call with you, I used to call like my goal was like. For a certain amount of contacts, right? So we had like the contact trackers, and I'd be like, okay, like if I make 30 contacts today or 40 contacts, like that's when I'm done, right? And so I would highly recommend making this change if that's the route that you're going. So I remember, okay, I was doing 30, 40 contacts per day, okay, and then sometimes though, like if you're at the very beginning of a list, you can make 30, 40 contacts like an hour and a half, right? So you're like, man, like that was quick, so I'm done today. And then I just remember thinking like, man, I need to kind of switch this so I can kind of, be more productive.
Yes.
So I switched it from tracking contacts to calling for a time period instead.
Yes.
So instead of doing contact tracking, I was like, okay, well now I'm going to call for 3 hours a day, no matter what, or 4 hours a day, and then you get to the point where it's like, okay, I'm calling today for 6 hours, so. And when you do that, I noticed my contacts, when I was normally making 30 or 40, would go to like 130, 140 in a day. And you're like, I'm making 4 times as many calls. Yeah. I mean, like you're gonna
I always say track it by the time, for sure. And build up your endurance. Like if it's your first time, start with 15 minutes of calls. Build to 30. Build to an hour. You don't have to go 4 hours. Because the problem that I've seen from coaching all around the country, some people go out and they go crazy. They go 3 hours and then they're like, oh my gosh, that was so much, and never do it again.
But it's because it's because they don't have anything that they're doing when they're calling. Oh, you have to have something to do when you're calling. So all of our callers highly recommend everything. Okay, pick something, whether it's, Juan in our office watches movies. He watches movies when he calls. I mean, that dude, I don't know if there's a movie in this world that he's never seen. Like, no joke. It's ridiculous. But I mean, I play video games. I literally
people
play
watch sports. People read. People draw.
Yeah, we had a lady in our office that she just loved to like draw and doodle. I mean, and she would come in with 300 like color pencils, markers, crayons, water paint, finger painting. No, but it was ridiculous. And she would just go to town and she would just call. So awesome. I mean, you have to have something. You gotta find something, or otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, I will say you have to get good on the phones first. Before you start multitasking, because otherwise,
for sure.
Like Luke's,
losing your calls.
Luke could make calls in his sleep, like.
But
in the beginning,
it's unconscious at this point. I mean, you've got it, but you actively listen unbelievably. The whole time you're, sure. Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, for real. And that's critical. I'm telling you, the difference between people that are struggling making calls and the people that are just absolutely killing it is your tone of voice and your ability to actively listen.
Exactly.
Put those two together, you have fun with it, you get to the point where you can throw in some entertainment, some distraction, and you can do it for hours.
Hours. Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know anybody that's called more than you. I don't know anybody. Maybe me. Maybe me.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe me. I started a lot earlier than you, but
true, for sure.
Incredible. Well, guys, thank you so much. Absolutely. Everybody out there, listen, the Viking Boys on YouTube. What is your Instagram so that people can find you and send you a DM?
Just Luke _ and then RO is my first 2 initials of my last name and then underscore.
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes.
And Jake _ Landis 22.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for being here, Jake.
Hey,
Luke, absolutely incredible. And if you are out there and interested in joining the most proactive group in real estate, it is the TTP family. It is the TTP program. Go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. That's wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Check it out. Scroll down. Check out the testimonials. Check out what it's all about. And if it feels good in your gut, sign up for a call. It'll either be with me or my right-hand guy. We look forward to that. And as I close out this podcast, as I close out every podcast, I encourage you to talk to people. Till next time. See ya. Love you.